Yeah. What's good, everybody? What's good, man? What's good? Happy Friday. How's everybody doing, man? Happy Friday, y'all. Happy Friday. I hope everybody's had a beautiful week, man. How's everybody, man? I hope everyone's doing great. How you guys doing, man? And welcome to another episode of the Jayson Estrera Show, where we talk about basketball, sports, and any topic that comes our way as accurate as possible. Now, instead of the intro where I kind of talk about, I give you guys little tidbits on the topics that we're going to cover. I'll name some of them. I'm going to take this time to level with you guys, right? I think transparency and just being honest is important, right? So, excuse me. Obviously, I haven't been live for the last 2 days, right? And it wasn't for lack of topics, if I'm being honest, right? It's been a thing, the old head versus the new head, the older generation versus the newer generation, whatever you want to call it, right? That's been going on. And I sat back, right? And I was watching it. I was paying attention. And I didn't know how to feel about it, right? Because on one hand, a part of me wanted to say, stop comparing people. Like, let people be who they are. On the other hand, I understand that I'm going to compare people. It's the nature of sports, right? You can't take that away from it. It's a part of it. And let's be honest. People, we naturally compare things. I think it's our way of, it's the way that our brain tries to find familiarity in things, right? If we're seeing something that's unknown or unfamiliar, we try to identify things that we can track back from something that we know or our memory or something like that. I think we all do it, right? We all naturally do it. And unfortunately, when we do that, sometimes it puts everyone in a box. It puts people in a box, right? And I think a lot of the conversation or debates that surround these topics, sometimes they get very toxic. Sometimes it's just shitting on each other, right? Like, you could have your favorite player, I could have mine. We could compare them, and at some point, you kind of have to shit on each other, right? Over here, I try my best, right? I try my best to only talk about basketball, right? To not make it personal. To not attack someone's character, right? To make it as much about, can they shoot, can they dribble, their attributes, their skills. The Grandpa Faye, you like this shit? I appreciate you, Elijah. But I was wrestling with this conversation, right? Because a part of me wanted to jump in because these conversations are fun. But a part of me also didn't want to add to the negativity, right? So I was trying to figure a way to have some of these conversations in a different way, right? Maybe I was wrong in the way that I was assessing it, right? So I've just been sitting back. I've been paying attention to everything, watching everything. Like I said, trying to come up with a way to discuss this in a positive way, right? But that leads me to this, which is the NBA offseason bullshit. We've all seen it, right? It just happened the other day with the Hall of Fame list. It's the summertime. There's downtime. There's no news. There's no movements of players right now. There aren't even rumors, right? So what do sports shows and sports channels do when there aren't topics on that sport? You kind of have to make shit up, right? So the other day, for example, there was this report that Russell Westbrook was basically pressing Christian Braun about the number 0. And Russ responds with, "Let's please leave our young star alone." I can never hate Russ, man. CB and I never discussed him passing along the number 0. I didn't want inquire about or request the number 0 because I chose to mark this new change with a new number. The excitement of the new season has already begun, and unfortunately, I know that means the offload of many false stories. Not today. CB and I are locked in and ready to get this thing rocking in the Mile High City. And I think this was NBA Centel that had put this out. The problem is when these fucking blogs start eating it up, right? Before, at least, you had like a Skip Bayless or a Stephen A. Smith who we might have seen in locker rooms. At least Stephen A. Smith, we've seen in locker rooms. If he says bullshit, we kind of believe it. But these channels, these pages are getting stories from these fake channels, literal fake news. It just happened a couple months ago with Devin Haney saying he had requested to get the video, the VOD of the fight removed, and he said that wasn't true. So we're in that part right now. And again, this kind of goes back to why I didn't want to add to it, because I think personally that some of these NBA guys, right, they have to make a living post-career. They're obviously not making as much money as they were in the NBA. And that's another thing that people don't talk about. Imagine yearly expecting $5 million a year, and that goes down significantly to, let's call it $200,000-$300,000 a year for some of these guys that aren't stars. So when you see them saying wild shit on ESPN or on their podcast or on whatever, you start to look at it and say, oh shit, that kind of makes sense, because now you have to keep a roof above your head. And for some people, the only way is to just say wild shit, right? Michael Jordan wasn't a great defender, or this person sucks. I personally think that's how it starts to some extent with some of these guys. That's why when some players now, current players, they'll look at a retired player and say, why the fuck would you say these things? You'll find out when you retire, and that check is different, and you got to go figure a way out. And for some folks, the only way is to do some clickbait, to do some clickbait shit and just say something outlandish just to get a reaction out of people, just to start a conversation. And so I think that's what we're in the middle of right now. Like we said earlier, pretty much all of the big names have all signed and got traded. Steph Curry just signed his extension as well too. Congratulations to him. But even that, right? It starts all these narratives. LeBron's coming there. Who's coming there? Who's leaving? He hates his teammates. It starts all of these stories, right? Where, listen, I understand, because I come up with some of these things sometimes too. But We'll cover it, and then we just move on. And it becomes like a fucking thing for these channels. So something to look out for. There's like I said, a lot of fake news going around right now, just to fill the time up, right? Thankfully, WNBA playoffs will start sooner than later, so the games will get intense. It should get some pretty good coverage. But until pretty much the preseason, this is what the NBA is looking like right now. So watch out, man. They're gonna be saying some crazy shit in the coming weeks. So don't be surprised. Don't be surprised at all. Now, I'm gonna go on a little rant. I'm gonna be honest right now. That's what this is, right? And it all got started with what Anthony Edwards said about Michael Jordan was the only player in his time that had skill. And then Magic Johnson responded, and then Kevin Garnett, and so on and so forth, right? And here we are. And that has now turned into, oh, you're soft, that era soft, this era sucks, that era sucks. And the actual conversation has been lost. Because here's the thing, right? And I'm always pro players, right? But this is the reality. You motherfuckers are insecure sometimes. Let's just call it what it is. And it's not their fault. They lived their lives in front of millions of people, right? Every mistake that they make gets ridiculed. Every success they have gets praised, right? It's this roller coaster, right? It's very difficult for them to stay even keeled, right? That's something that we hear all the time. Imagine being in their shoes. But it does create some divas. It creates some guys who are insecure. If you question anything about their career, they become defensive. A lot of them do. That's just the reality of who they are, right? And then it's always, oh, you never played, you never did this, you never did that. Yeah, but those same people are the people that put money in your pockets. So, yes, this is a part of it, right? Now, the thing that I hate about this particular conversation, right, is the fact that they could have just started with definitions. So let's do that, right? What is the definition for skill? Let's take a look here. So here you go. On Merriam-Webster, the ability to use one's knowledge effectively and readily in execution or performance. Skill, right? So it's skill is something that's learned, right? It's a combination of learning it and executing it, right? Now, what does talent mean, right? A special, often athletic, creative, or artistic aptitude. Right? A special, often athletic, creative, or artistic aptitude. So what I broke it down is like this, right? Maybe I should have done another. Let's do this. Skill versus talent. So it's clear what we're talking about right now. This is a fucking live show, baby. All right, boom. Skill versus talent, right? This is what we're talking about right now. Maybe I should pull up like a fucking Word doc. Maybe that's what we should do. Yeah, maybe we should do that. Boom. Boom. Let's make this like a 20. Yeah. Skill. So skill is your natural. Oh no, talent is. Let's do. Talent is natural ability to do something well. And then in the definition it was saying a special, often athletic, creative, or artistic ability. Artistic or creative ability, right? Skill is the use your knowledge and execution to do something well. Alright, here you go. Alright, so here we are, right here. So talent is the natural ability to do something well. A special, often athletic, artistic, or creative ability. And a skill is where you use your knowledge and execution to do something well. Right? So I should probably give this some space, right? So to me, right? What is this? So to me, talent would be speed, right? Vertical, so jumping ability, right? Quickness. I don't know, anything else that you would like reaction time. Strength. And then here's another thing that I'll add here. IQ, right? Skill would be all of the things that you could practice essentially in basketball, which would be dribbling, shooting, passing, right? Moving off ball. I'll put knowledge here and then I'll explain it later. I'll explain it in a little bit, right? So actually, let's do this as well. What is the definition? IQ. can't be a specific number used to express the apparent relative intelligence of a person, such as a score determined by one's performance on a standardized intelligence test relative to the average performance. Can your IQ go up? The older you are, the more stable your test score will be. All right. Okay, so here's the thing, right? So we have the definition, right? Let me see. Anthony Edwards was saying that in that time, only Michael Jordan had skill. Right? So we'll start with that aspect, right? His statement was actually wrong. He should have said that in that time there weren't as many players with natural talent. And on top of that, not that many players that were able to mix natural talent with skill. I know people talked about, oh, there was Kevin Johnson or at the time in the 90s or I'm trying to think of who else was a freak of nature. Dominique Wilkins at the time, Sean Kemp in the 90s, which is, getting to more modern stuff. But if you really think about it, Clyde Drexler, maybe, Julius Erving, but, people always joke Dr. J that never had a J. So he was missing the skill part of it, right? When you compare to the modern NBA, talent, right? Speed, vertical, quickness, reaction time, strength, physical tools, Russell Westbrook, Ja Morant, De'Aaron Fox, right? Guards, we're looking at what? Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, right? Bron, obviously, still. Fucking Jaylen Brown. So many players. Aaron Gordon, who doesn't even who sometimes people forget how athletic he actually is, right? Guys that could jump out the building. Malik Monk has like a 40-inch vert. And then, you get to the I don't know if talent, I guess for the NBA, right? Size or height definitely helps you, right? Definitely helps you. I'm not saying height is a sign of talent, but in basketball, it definitely helps. So Anthony Edwards' statement was actually wrong, right? When we look at skill, is how you use your knowledge and execution to do something well. So dribbling, shooting, passing, moving off of the ball, and your knowledge, right? Knowledge, I think, is something that you could grow. You can go over film. You can watch stuff. You could go over tendencies. You can learn these things, right? The difference between that and IQ is because the guys with the highest IQ, or the people that are considered really, really smart, those guys were never on the other end of the spectrum. Those guys were never complete fucking idiots and morons. Right? Now, you can, and we've seen this before, you can learn textbook stuff, you can learn information, you can study, right? That doesn't mean that you can analyze stuff well. That's why they always say street smart versus book smart. IQ is your ability to analyze situations, your ability to to deduce things. That's you can get better at it for sure, but that's more of a natural thing, right? We all have a way of analyzing things from the second we're able to realize that we're thinking. Do people tell us how to look at things and how to analyze things? But that's why when you have an opinion or you have a perspective, it's because you analyzed it in your way. And when it comes to sports and in basketball, your ability to just analyze the floor, ability to analyze film. Some people don't need someone to tell them what to look for. Some people naturally have an ability to look to know what to look for. Yes, other people help, but that's a natural thing. Now, watching film, going over things, you can improve that over time, right? So I do think that that's a skill that you can gain. I really do. And so in terms of the 80s, right? Because we already said they were lacking in talent, in their natural abilities physically. So if that's the case, right? The response again to Anthony Edwards. When you're lacking in talent, you make up for it with skill. Right? If you don't have this crazy jumping ability, when you get down there, you're going to utilize your little steps, your pump fake, your spins, your push off and bumps. That's how you get around people that are naturally gifted physically. Right? Someone that's fast, you got to get them off of you. You have to now try to be a little bit physical. Right? If you're not very quick, you try to be a good shooter. Right? And when they know you're a good shooter, now you have to learn how to move off of the ball. Timing. Right? Passing. All of these things are what help the people that are less talented to be able to keep up. Because the reality is, when you could jump higher than everyone, when you're faster and stronger, you don't have to be that smart. You don't have to, you don't need a million different moves if when you go right and you're so explosive, you pretty much get by everybody. So you don't need to pull back to go bop, bop, bop again and go back into a crossover. You're just going to go attack your defender's left foot really hard. If they move, then you're just going to go switch directions and they can't catch up to you. So when you're naturally talented, you don't require as much skill. That's why when you get players like a Michael Jordan or a LeBron who are so naturally talented, and they now add all of these skills, what do we get? The best players ever. And that's what the top is. Shaq was bigger, stronger, faster, quicker than everybody. But he didn't rely on that, because in the game of basketball, being overpowering can go against you. Offensive fouls, 3 in the key, especially that back then, the back down rule. If you don't learn how to, in Shaq's case, to pass, his footwork, how to not maybe be so strong all the time, how to move properly, to learn the game. He added all of those things, and what did we get? One of the best players ever. So that's why what do I said now? Right? That the individual part of the game, the moves and all of that stuff, has that those skills have taken precedent over knowledge, moving without the ball. And when you get a bunch of guys that now focus just on dribbling and shooting and those moves, and you add it with their speed, vertical, quickness, strength, and all of those things, yeah, sometimes it looks a little hectic. Because, like I said, now you're putting guys who have good natural abilities with just the dribbling and the shooting part, and they're not even thinking about the game like that anymore, because between their natural ability and the two skills that they've mastered, they're out there looking fucking phenomenal. And this is also the reason why there's the older generation can watch the game and say, I could have taken advantage of that, because they've always thought the game out, because they didn't have those natural abilities. You got to remember, in the 80s, Isaiah Thomas was super skilled, right? We should actually look at this. Let's take a look at this. He was incredibly skilled, right? And yeah, you know, there's obviously people that are shitting on it, right? But you're at the mercy of your time period, right? You can't control that. The Tim Hardaways, the Nick Van Exels, the Rod Stricklands, all of those guys had to watch Isaiah Thomas to build on it. Now we got Allen Iverson, Chris Paul, and so on and so forth, right? Because of their time period, you can't say they weren't skilled, because they were super skilled for that time period. Their bag is different from the guys now. And like I said, and then you have guys like Kevin Garnett saying, "Oh, these cats couldn't play with us back then." I see a Kevin Durant, a Steph Curry, and a LeBron James. And granted, they're older, they are still killing, right? Even at their advanced age. But guys are keeping up, playing with them. I'll even say outsmarting them at times. And we saw what LeBron did to Kevin Garnett and those Celtics teams. We saw what Kevin Durant did to some of those guys. Like I said, and we also saw what Kobe, for example, was doing to LeBron. To pretend as if these guys couldn't play back then, 20 years ago, it's outrageous to me. Outrageous. Because we see it. It's not like we've never seen them against a LeBron or a Kevin. We're seeing it. We saw a rookie Jayson Tatum against a championship level LeBron in the Cleveland team and took them to 7 games. To pretend as if those guys wouldn't be able to survive back then is outrageous. Outrageous. And like I said, Anthony Edwards was uninformed. He wasn't speaking correctly, right? He missed, and also I think this is, again, all these media outlets, they just throw this shit out there. They don't actually take the time out to do what we just did right here, which is to Fuck it, let's define it. Because if we're using the wrong words, then let's stop using that word. Or let's use it correctly. Right? So now, after this, right? Because I saw this was getting debated again, right? They were talking about Kobe is a carbon copy of Michael Jordan. And listen, we all understand why they say it. I like Jared Vanderbilt. He is a modern player, but if guys like him can play today, anyone can play today. And same for players going back in time. We look at the best players instead of the average. Oh, no, that's facts. That's facts. But I said that because Kevin Garnett said Anthony Edwards, Jason Tatum. He said those guys wouldn't be able to play back then. I was like, are you bugging? Are we watching the same shit? This is basketball. This is basketball. Like, they're not about to go to actual war with you guys. We got to dribble and shoot the same basketball, bro. So, he was saying some of these stars, like I said, and like we were talking about the other day, Elijah, if it don't apply to you, why are you getting offended? Right? Like, it's funny because the younger generation are acting the way they're supposed to act. They're athletes in locker rooms full of alpha males and testosterone. It's competition. It's dog eat dog. So they're brash. They talk with a certain confidence. It makes sense, right? You would think that these retired guys at this point know better. That they've matured enough. They've already gotten their competition. They can't change their career. They can't play against these guys. It won't happen. So to pretend as if, or no, not to act the way that they're acting, right? Like I said, they're supposed to be the mature adults in the room. But they're always punching back. At some point, somebody's got to be like, listen, bro, like, we had our time. We're good. We did what we had to do. Our careers speak for themselves. Like, it is what it is. But they keep replying as if, like, motherfucker, nobody was talking about you. Like, nobody was talking about you. It's like if you was in a room, right? If you were in a crowded room and you were saying, fuck everybody that got a red t-shirt on. Fuck all of them. I don't like motherfuckers that got red t-shirts on. I think that says something about you. And then you have motherfuckers with blue t-shirts, purple t-shirts, black t-shirts, white t-shirts talking about, Hey. I'm offended. Motherfucker, you don't even have the shirt on. What you mean you offended? We're not even talking about you. Like, why are you popping out? For what? But yes, going back to so now we move forward with Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, right? Because everyone loves to say that Kobe is a carbon copy of Michael Jordan. And the reason they say it, obviously, is the mid-range game, the post game, the fadeaway, the footwork, the pivots. And also Kobe very openly says that he took those things from Michael, right? He even tries to walk like him, the swag similar, right? All of these things, right? But people forget the 37 point per game Michael Jordan. Because what did Kobe average? Like 35 or something, right? Even in that year, right? Compared to Michael's 37, not comparing them, but when you look at both of them, they look totally different. They look totally different. Because, again, going back to the conversation of talent and skill that we just spoke about. In terms of talent, the speed, the vertical, the quickness, the strength even, Kobe was not naturally talented. Not like Michael Jordan. Yeah, and there's some folks that they be like, oh, would you say he's not athletic? Compared to that average motherfucker, yes, he is very athletic. Compared to motherfucking 48-inch vertical Michael Jordan, no, he's a normal motherfucker. And, you know, there's some people that say, oh, he got more moves than Michael Jordan. Oh, he expanded his game. You not realizing why. Why does Kobe Bryant need 5 counters in his game? Because he never had the natural ability to, when he fake, he just moving so quick. No, because motherfuckers are catching up. Why are so many of his shots such tough shots? Because when he elevated, when he bumped you, he didn't create as much separation as Michael Jordan did. So he expanded on the moves partly out of necessity. I'm sure a part of it was just him just getting fucking, he was just in that shit. He was just in that bitch being saucy. But a part of it is necessity. Michael Jordan's first step was incredible. First step was so crazy. All he had to do was give you a bump and he would fade away. So, Kobe Bryant was a carbon copy. Yeah, MJ was. Hey, you could say maybe the guys at that time, they weren't as strong. They weren't what. He jumped high enough to dunk it on middies. Bro, I've seen him bump people on middies and they go flying. And he'd be wide open on a little shoulder. Imagine trying to guard that. Facts. Like, people, think about 81 points Kobe, right? 81 point Kobe. That number 8 Kobe, right? That was before he had all the pivots, right? Michael Jordan was that Kobe, but faster, stronger, quicker, could jump higher, bigger hands. Kobe always talked about the bigger hands. That was who Michael Jordan was from 1984 to 1993. They weren't fucking with him. They couldn't jump with him. They couldn't push him. They couldn't even get a hand on him. He was so quick. And this is, like I said, this is no disrespect to Kobe. This is why, I think this is why a lot of folks love Kobe. They just don't know how to articulate this part. Because he really was at 6'6" compared to the NBA players. Palming really is underrated. Yeah, if you could do it, it makes everything easy. Like think about this, right? Michael Jordan was doing Kyrie Irving finishes, but at 6'6" with a 48-inch vertical leap. Think about how wild that is. He was doing Kyrie Irving finishes at 6'6" with a 48-inch vertical. Like, we are talking about, like, this is why Michael Jordan is different. If you pay attention, you'll see Kawhi, Rondo, MJ. They have so much of an advantage. It feels like they're cheating. Yeah. No, absolutely. Especially Ron. It's hard to see the advantage when it comes to bigger players like centers because they can all palm the ball. But I remember Rondo, he would sell his fake so well because he would be gripping that motherfucker. That ball was not going anywhere. So when he would do certain shit, he would really be able to sell it because, to your point, he can really palm the ball. And Kawhi, the same thing, right? He stole that shit from MJ. He wasn't even doing anything. He was just doing it just to fuck with your attention. He would just do it and then boom, go dribble this way, pull up. You know, people. We're in a time now where it's cool to shit on Mike. It's cool to shit on Jordan. I have a whole video saying that the Rockets had a great chance of beating the Chicago Bulls had they played. So we're in this time where it's easy to kind of shit on Mike, but let's tell the story accurately, right? Realistically, the one thing that I've always thought that Kobe had on Mike was he shot the three way better than Jordan. Way better. And I always felt like Kobe's shooting percentages was a direct effect of his shot attempts, right? He would take some bad shot. It is what it is, right? Like it just is what it is. All stars do it. I don't know if it was just like Kobe had this mentality of like, I'm just the best over here. I could take the shot. He just shot it with confidence. As his career gone on, he obviously took less of them. But I always thought that was why his percentage was, a little bit lower. But like I said, players do things out of a necessity. If Kobe had any of the speed or the quickness of Mike, I don't think he would have developed as many moves. Just being real, right? Like, for example, everyone compares, let's do like Allen Iverson and Kyrie Irving, for example, right? Allen Iverson only had a crossover. That the NBA took away even, and he was still Hall of Fame. Compared to a Kyrie Irving, right? Yeah, this is why I hate the argument AI. Like, Allen Iverson was so fast and quick that he didn't need moves. Like, if you notice, and no, that's really what it is. Like that, and everybody's been talking about Steph and AI. I think AI Kyrie works a lot better in this sense, right? Like if you watch Kyrie, his moves are incredible. I actually used to bitch about the fact that sometimes he would do too many moves. Like sometimes he already beat you with 2-3 moves and he would still pull it back and do some other shit. But I've always watched and understood that he has a good first step. It's not that he doesn't. But he needs the moves to really create separation. Right? Even on the left-handed, right? On the left-handed shot over Jokic. He had to put up that shot because even in a foot race, Jokic was kind of there. So he couldn't go up right. So he had to go left. I say too, if AI was 6'4", he may be worse for it. He had to work with what he had. Yeah. Like, players build their games because of their what they got. You know, to your point, Elijah, like Jalen Brunson, if he were taller, he wouldn't have his game. He's built his game because he knows he can get shots off on anyone up to probably like 6'8", 6'9". He has his whole bag is probably good for anyone up until that height. Anyone after that, we got to run a pick and roll. Like, you know, we can only work with what we got. Like, and that's why when you get super naturally talented guys, and like I said, you get them to master a skill, right? Like LeBron, for example, speed, vert, quickness, strength, massive, right? He was good at dribbling, good at shooting, amazing at passing. But you add his natural ability to analyze the game with, now he's going to study. Now he's going to know all of your plays. Now you add all of those things together, you get one of the greatest basketball players ever. I promise you, if LeBron didn't know the game the way that he does, plus the IQ, he wouldn't be nowhere near as good as he is. And also, to LeBron's point, he didn't need any dribbling. He didn't need to have Kyrie Irving dribbling. He's 6'9", 250. Like, fuck, he need to learn how to really dribble for. And for a majority of his career, the fuck did he need to shoot for? And that's why, if you ever notice, he only does the hand shit, right? The hand to the right. He only does it on the left side of the floor. If you guys ever notice, for the most, he don't do it on the right side, really. Right? He don't really do it to the right side, because if he's driving right, he's not going to be on the wing, which is where he likes to shoot that shot. You got to understand this shit, dog. Like, you got to really watch this shit for real. But yeah, you know, like I was the rant that I went on earlier, like, no disrespect to any of these players, right? Just trying to provide perspective and understanding as to why certain things are the way that they are, right? I was just watching all these conversations, and they're not even talking about the right thing half the time. They're, oh, he didn't know how to do this, he didn't know how to da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, listen, like, certain things happen because of what they had to deal with. Like, Mike didn't need a great 3-point shot, especially in that time. Fuck, he needed the 3-point shot for. He even said he thought that him perfecting his 3-point shot would take away from his game, because he was so quick and fast. Him settling and shooting threes would take pressure off of the defense, because he's not applying pressure on the rim. He's not forcing them to move. Anytime Jordan was in the mid-range, all eyes were on him. No one could relax. So part of why he didn't shoot a great 3 is because he wasn't trying to also. And the effort don't matter, because the percentage is the percentage, but that's just the reality of it, right? So, you know, man, bro, I'm be honest with you, I thought today was gonna be like a fucking like 30-minute episode, and I just been yapping for damn near an hour. But it was necessary. It was necessary. I had a lot of shit that I had to get off of my chest, because these talking heads, not only, and this is the part, right? Like, these talking heads on ESPN and on some of these shows, they'll start these bullshit narratives or these dumbass conversations, right? And then after they do it and start pissing people off and start all this toxic shit, they don't go ahead and have the conversation properly. So, and then you have people out there that still go about their day that are mixing up skill and talent. And then they go and watch the game for the year, not really understanding what the definition of these things are. And then they wonder why some players are like, you a dumbass fan. Yeah, because all they watch is fucking ESPN. But like I said, man, that's what I'm here for. I'm here for y'all. I'm here for y'all. I'm here to support y'all. We going through this together. Like I said, it's been a slow week. It's been a slow news week. So motherfuckers they had to go start some shit. But anyway, that's gonna do it for me for now. Thank you guys for coming and hanging out with me. I really, really appreciate y'all. Please like, comment, subscribe, all that good shit. It really helps the channel out. Like I said, we're trying to take this shit to Jupiter. I don't like how that rings either. But thank you guys, man. Y'all could have been anywhere on the internet, but y'all were here with me. I really appreciate that. So thank you guys for hanging out, man. I will see y'all later. Peace, 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 peace. I will be on the Black Ops 6 beta, so I'm going to be a fucking degenerate. I'll see you guys later, man. Later, peace.